We had arrived in a strange new land, gathered from across the sea, from the shores of Freeport, from within the walls of Draconia, and from the woods of Aetherion. Knights from all over had come to answer the call of Helora. Now we had begun our holy crusade. However, this place was different to any we'd ever seen. The people here had technology like no other. Metal contraptions faster than any horse, and weapons that shot fire without any enchantment. If we wanted to succeed in our holy quest, we would need the technology to match. Luckily, Helora heard our prayers. Rocks rained from the sky, filled with gems and precious metals. Before long, our artificer had figured out how to create vehicles of our own, and only a short while later we even had fire-breathing weapons to arm our troops. However, not all was so fortunate, for in this land another faith existed, one that directly opposed us. Or so we thought, for as it turned out, the Astralis, please tell me I pronounced that right, were friendly, and after some talking we realized we had similar beliefs and ambitions. So a deal was struck, and the Helora Crusaders and the Astralis became allies, one to worship the sun and one the moon. However, it seemed those may not be the only gods in this place, for strange writing was found throughout the realm. Scattered in ancient ruins, old and faded books spoke of another being that seemed to not be human, nor any being we knew of, and the author of these books seemed to fear this creature. And another book spoke of horrors, war, death, and fear. This land had clearly seen much cruelty. Those were not the only strange signs. A voice seemed to whisper to us. Though it never spoke aloud, everyone seemed to hear it. But what it said made no sense to us. It used words we had never heard before, nor knew the meaning of. The people were kind, but it still felt uneasy, as if the land itself didn't want us here. Welcome to the first episode of MumbleBumble. I hope that you enjoyed the intro bit that future me hopefully edited. And if it didn't, then this makes no sense. Our first guest is the famed Crusader King, Captain Brew.
Can I just say it is an honor to be the first guest on your podcast. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you, Bumbler.
Well, thank you for that. Okey-dokey. So, I have a few questions that I wrote down earlier. I will hopefully think of more, because I don't think all of them are that interesting, but...
And I'm going to make a prediction before you start, Bumbler. I can guarantee that while we're having this interview, at least 4 people will come up to us and say something completely irrelevant. So your viewers can look forward to that.
That's probably true. That will probably happen.
like here's that was nearly iteration 1. Oh, but they decided not to. But it was close. It was close. We better crack through these questions before we get interrupted for too many times.
Okay. So my first question is something that I was just wondering. So you are the king of the Helora Crusaders, but that somewhat implies that you're also the king of something else, because I feel like it doesn't entirely make sense to just be the king of a single travelling group. So are you the king of anything else?
You make a good point. So the Crusaders are from many nations. You know, we've got Germanic Crusaders, Italian, ones from the New World, and all of us heard the call from the clergy, the Pope, and our God, and we all took the call to come here at the same time. So you're correct in saying, how can one person be king if there's loads of different nations that are represented in the crusade? However, we needed to have a Crusader King or a single leader to coordinate the mission. So the way that our government works is the High Lords, all the nobles who have joined the Crusade, form a king's moot, and they select from themselves a supreme ruler or king to lead the crusade. And I have the honor of representing Helora in this realm in that role. So yeah, it's me. And if I die, those lords will get together and they will elect a new king. And that will go on and on until we're all dead. So yeah, you are correct in your observation.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, they'll...
If I die, I'll be a martyr and I'll get to join Helora in heaven, so I do not fear death. In fact, the motto of the Crusaders is fear no darkness.
Well, that kind of leads on to my next question, which was, what started the Crusade? Like, did a single person get a message from Helora, or did everybody individually?
So, what happened was astronomers across the Helorian faith countries observed new stars appearing in the skies, and we calculated with some sort of arcane witchcraft mathematics I have no knowledge of, that they would all land soon in this area. So we quickly assembled a crusade, interpreting this as a sign from Helora that it was finally time to fulfill ancient prophecies around reclaiming our holy land. And so that's what brought us here, these signs. And then sure enough, as we've arrived, these stars have been raining down, and they have brought new exotic treasures, unlocking exciting weapons like these standard issue M4s with their power. Yeah, good example there of how they work. So yeah, no, the prophecy has come true. Our god is obviously self-evident. Everyone who's ever looked to the skies has seen her power to burn away the undead who return when she leaves. So it's clear that her divine might is real. But now these prophecies being fulfilled gives us even more faith that our mission will be a success.
With that, so what is the end goal of this crusade?
Would you?
Well,
would
that's
you
really
have any
interesting.
light blue
I mean,
dye?
the prophecy said that we would be shown
I
a
have
holy
dark
land,
blue,
and
but
it would
not
be our
light blue.
responsibility to
I
reconquer
think
it.
I
So
can
we are
make light blue dye
exploring
with white.
You
to
just
find
need
the
lapis.
holy land.
You
However,
need-
since
if you have
arriving
chromium
here,
plus
there's
lapis,
been
you're
a
gonna be
lot
able
of
to make it.
interesting
Okay.
discoveries
I
of
will be
holy
finding
texts, which
lapis
have given
then.
all sorts of clues to some potential dark happening or horrible event to come. So we have a dedicated group of lore masters who are scouring the server, gathering this knowledge, and soon we'll have sufficient knowledge to hopefully understand what this means. It may change the Crusade's goals at the end, but ultimately our purpose is the same, which is serving Helora, and that's all that matters.
Makes sense. So, that also leads on to another question that I had, which is, how does, like, the existence of other faiths in this land, especially the one, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, the Astralis, the ones that worship the moon, what does that impact the...
Well, first of all,
Crusade in
I
any way?
appreciate you throwing shade at them by not pronouncing their name automatically. That was very politically correct of you to do so. But Astralis, yeah. So
say it.
Astralis, yeah. So that's really interesting. I mean, our old text taught us that moon worshippers were effectively evil or satanic or the enemies of Helora. So our natural instinct would have been to treat them as enemies. But when we arrived in this land, I was amazed that they were such wise, culturally magnificent and intelligent people, and also very kind. And I now am beginning to question some of those ancient lores, or perhaps just understand that they've maybe been misinterpreted. We've actually formed an alliance with them as our first and most closest nation. So it just shows that sometimes the ancient texts need to be reinterpreted. Now, my personal view is that when you look up at the moon at night, the brightness you see is the reflection of Helora, and I think all of the people of science and the sort of techno mages I mentioned would probably agree with me. However, for me, that doesn't mean that worship of the moon
Drake
is
for life.
wrong.
You
It's just
with us, right?
another
Yeah, you are.
form
Just
of
making
worship
sure.
of the goddess. So
My bad.
my personal view is we'll be very tolerant of them, and I
Making
look
sure
to
you were
build
with
really
us,
close
you know.
relations with them throughout the rest of our time in this plane.
is in our area.
I believe that is most of my questions. I did, however, have two more quite quick ones. First of all, I don't know if you've heard, but there is currently a debate on whether the Earth
We have
is
only 10
round
minutes left
or
in
a
session,
cube.
though.
And so what's your thoughts on that?
Well, anyone who's
Well,
ventured to the edge of the world like me can confirm it's real, so there is really only one answer to that. That the world is indeed flat.
Maybe that wasn't one of the options.
No, I don't think it's a cube. I think that it's basically a 150 thick plate of which the heavenly celestial gods orbit round and round. So I guess you could say cuboid or largely flat is my interpretation of the realm. But again, I'm not a man of science. I'm a man of faith and a man of the sword.
And now, for the final question, I had heard, well, I say I'd heard rumours, but actually I just heard you say it, that you had been given a prophecy that you would perish during a wedding of some sort, or something along those lines. Or there was a prophecy.
Fortunately, I had a vision upon first setting foot on this realm that my life would be in danger. I would rather not share the exact details of that vision because I don't want copycats or people trying to make it a reality. And luckily, it wasn't at a wedding. I wouldn't want my death to spoil such a special occasion. But yes, I do have a prophecy that perhaps my end will come. But as I said before, to be martyred in the service of Helora would be an honor. And I would gladly give my life for the cause. And I know that my nation would be barely impacted because all of my lords are absolute veterans, very experienced at leadership, and I would trust any one of them to continue the crusade without me.
Well, that is well said. I believe that is all of the questions that I had planned, so thank you very much for coming on.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm glad that you also choose our base as a place to facilitate your podcast. I look forward to watching more episodes.
Well, I also thank you for that. I do believe you have probably been the most enthusiastic, I don't know, viewer? I'd say viewer, nobody's viewed it yet since I haven't made anything yet, but...
I am definitely your biggest fan, considering I'm the only one who knows the content.
Right here.
Well,
So thanks again. Thanks for that, Bumbler.
Alright, well, I hope that you enjoyed that. And now, a word from our sponsor. Do you need someone dead? Well, good news for you, because I know just the guy with the codename Vengeance. This guy will make sure that anyone you need in the ground soon finds themselves there. Contact Blind Potato either on Discord or in game for more information. And thank you to Vengeance and / or Blind Potato for sponsoring this episode of MumbleBumble. And while I have your attention, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. This took a lot longer than I thought it would, and I will most likely be slightly rethinking how I do the next episode or so. But, safe to say, I will make another episode. At least one. Hopefully more than one. 2 episodes for an entire 9-session long event would be kind of sad. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, and thank you to Captain Brew for featuring in this episode. And that concludes the first ever episode. We'll see you in episode 2 of MumbleBumble.